Ladies and gentlemen, it's Indy for you and me. Welcome back to SimSeniors. Welcome back to the racetrack. My name's Ben Sapsford. We've got quite a night ahead of us. You can already hear the cars roaring in the background, so we're going to waste a little time. Today takes us to the United States of America and, of course, to the Indianapolis circuit. So a full circuit, not just the speedway. So you've got all the technicality that your heart desires, as the Brickyard does not a point. Let's go trackside, see what our race takes. More than anything, if you are looking forward to what we've got in store today, make sure that you are hitting that like button, you are subscribing if you want to stay on board with the rest of the season. And with that, right on cue, we are starting qualifying here and now. We have got Wayne Bowler starting us off here for the first set of drivers, that being the bronze drivers, denoted in red driver numbers. Bowler has P5 in the championship right now as of the last round at the Nordschleife, and we are back to normal quali formation, no concurrent qualifying, back to normal tracks, so back to normal rules. Nice and hot here, 32 degrees track surface temps here at Indy. That means any tyre is going to come off feeling pretty tacky, pretty grippy, but careful of the blistering, and too much push might put you in a bit of trouble. Making his way through that back straight before arcing his way around. A lot of right-angled corners here at Indianapolis, and a lot of potentially high-risk corners. If you are committing to an overtake, especially as you can see out here where Bowler comes back out onto the speedway section, albeit very temporarily, on for the bonnet of his car. See, there are chances, plenty of chances to commit to overtakes around this circuit, but you have to know where to place yourself. You cannot just throw yourself into a corner and call it a day. Owning that apex does not mean diddly squat with this layout. But let's see what the drivers have in store for us as the first times are now coming through. Bowler is the benchmark. It's a 36.7. What have we got from the rest of the field? Let's find out. We've got Arscombe, 37.5, 38 flat, coming from season leader Alex North. Groich coming up to the line in just a moment. It's a 36.9. And Bowler still remains on top as he's been displaced by the likes of Holmes. We have also Craig Holmes coming along in his Audi. I'm going to have to get used to that. So there's not one Holmes on the track anymore. There's two of them. Randy Zimmer coming across the line here. And it's going to be a 38.8. So not quite the quality he wants just yet. P3 in the standings. And he could be within a fighting chance of overtaking Arscombe here with a good result. Last couple of cars coming through for their first runs as Craig Niesbet just crosses the line. We'll be on to our next set of drivers. Looks like we are about 10 cars strong. We'll make that 11 cars strong here in the bronze class as John Gabbert has yet to set a time. Gabbert making his way back on to get a low 37 to be within a fighting chance, but saying that, we will still have the time drop further still. Wayne Bowler just came across the line with a 36.4, so plenty riding on this one for him. Peter Smith is hopefully soon coming out to play as well, the number 113 car, as he is making his way out of the pit lane now, just in time for John Gabbert to come in with the 38.2. Is Roger Dismukes coming up as well, 37.1 to beat. Will there be anything in here for him? Sadly not. It's a 38.6. Looks like this lap was not meant to be, but Bowler continues to chip away at his time. It was a 36.7, now it's a 36.4, but unfortunately it's a 36 wall here for the Ferrari. The 1-2-3 car is going to call it time, as an unfortunate mistake has cost him dearly. Going to be Gabbert once again getting a second bite of the cherry as multiple cars are coming through. Here is Arscombe coming up to the final chicane. Smooth and easy does it. 34 cars joining us on the race course today. Hopefully things go nice and smoothly out here for them. So we've got fairly even class distribution as well. Arscombe up to the line. Decent improvement. He's going to jump up to the second row, P4. A few more cars coming through here as well. Groich is going to come up to the start-finish line. He's just going to leapfrog Holmes into second position. So it's not the massive time gap he was looking for, but it's enough to write home about. Gabbert came across the line with a 37.9, so all bar one, Niesbet, who we're on board with right now, has crept into the 37s. Oh, apologies. I didn't have my cough button depressed. I've got to say, that was a fun little discovery when I saw that in the back of a media truck one time. They have a dedicated cough button for any noises or anything else like that. That's why you never hear it on the broadcast, except for when I forget to press it. Just then. My apologies. Niesbet, regardless, 37.867. No laughing in the back. P10. Looks like Groich could be going for a last fiery shot at glory here. He's currently running purple with 3/10 up on his delta. If he keeps this on track, he could be even as far as a 36.3, although saying that he has hemorrhaged a bit of time trying to re-enter onto the speedway. Going to encounter also a little bit of traffic as there is the McLaren of, I believe, that is Peter Smith just up ahead of him here, who still needs to set a time, and he's kind of running out of options. Groich with 36.6. Unfortunately not going to be enough to topple the timing boards, but here comes Craig Holmes. It's a 10th down. So close, but just not quite there. Dimmer up to the line as well. Big jumps. He's into the 36s now with a .992, and not a moment too soon as well, as the drivers are now completing their last run just before we'll see the others start heading into full attack mode. These are all the silver class cars that are lining up at the edge of the pit lane, all raring to go. Re-entering into the final sector now for the last time, as the final 10 seconds are going to elapse before Hamby and Co. set off in the silver class for their runs. 36.4 fastest time here. Can Bowler take another bite out of his best? Sweeping his way through. Last couple of corners is looking fairly clean. Just keep the throttle steady as you make your way back onto the racing surface at the front. Straight and up across the line. It's a 36.1. The Ferrari emphatically takes the pole position for bronze. Bowler, I tip my cap. But here we go. You can see the silver class cars are all making their way through. Groich has not got an improvement on his time as he initially hoped and suspected, as many others have also chosen to abandon their attempts. Did to get a attempt finish from Gabbert, but there was no improvement to be had. We had a lot of invalidations, and that is going to be the road for bronze, it looks like. So, Bowler, take a bow as the pole for bronze. Meanwhile, switching gears and looking at the second cohort to grace this field, it's silver time, and not a moment too soon. Hamby, Hellstrom, Linatus, and many others, as we can see them all crossing through here, getting themselves ready for a hopefully optimistic and good running of quali. Now, key thing to remember here, of course, is that these are the silver class cars, so they are a step above the bronze racers. They're going to find that little bit more. They're going to have that bit stronger of a fight, but they are also going to be slap bang in the middle of this ordeal around the track as we get to the race later on. Stuck right in the middle. Too fast for bronze, not quite there for gold, so they've got to make it count. Here it now. where it counts and matters. So here we go. Times are now setting off and starting. As Hamby, Hellstrom, and Co. Answers just behind. They're all going to set off and start making their way through the track. Key thing to remember for the Silvers is we expect about a second difference per class on average. So where the peak time for Bowler was a 36.1, it would not be remiss to expect a 35 out of a good chunk of this field. Might even see as we get to the end of the session some drivers scraping into the 34s. Things do get pretty interesting. Ooh, big slide there from Hellstrom. That's one way to heat up your rear tyres, my friend. Now, luckily, the ambient temps are a lot lower than the track surface temps, so despite not having any wind, it's like cooling isn't going to be as much of an issue. In fact, the lack of wind plays perfectly into the hands of these drivers. It's not going to mean any aero or pitch sensitivity to speak of. Unless they've got their car tuned for peaky curves. So here we go. First runs on this board here, as initial impressions are looking good. We're seeing 36s, 37s on average across the board, but we're not seeing anyone break that barrier just yet. A few more cars still have to come through. So for example, 30 is on his way and a little bit back in terms of the cadence from his rest of the field. Question is, will he be able to hold a candle to the others when it comes to quali trim? Simon Ede, for example, coming through in his Porsche now, but is significantly separated from the others. So how quickly he'll be able to execute might be just out of kilter. So Ede comes up to the line. It's a 37-0, so an impressive run here from the Porsche. How will his fellow Porsche driver do as he now comes through the final couple of corners and into the long sweeping right? That is the re-entry. It is 37.0 to beat. What's it going to be? It's a 37.4, which lands in P19 overall, and so far at the lower end of the spectrum, as we have got a few drivers having another bite. There's Hellstrom, for example. And hopefully he's got some fire in his belly, as he's got, so far, a big chance to really make a statement here in Silver Quali. Got Derek Hall, who is currently on a purple. You can see him a little bit further up the road, and he's just come across the line. 35.812. That's the kind of times that we were hoping to see, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe the 34s were a little bit optimistic. It is a shorter track after all, but doesn't mean the drivers can't impress us. Never fail to disappoint, that is for sure. Is Ede going for another shot? He is at 0.6 of a second up on his previous time now, so a decent 36 could put him as far as P5 in his current trajectory. Question is, can he hold it all together? Final corner now, keeping the speed nice and high. Look, there's no signs of yield here from the 992 pilot, and he comes up to the line. It's P4 with a 36.317. Impressively, we still have Bowler in P2 for bronze, despite multiple silver candidates now making their way out. Real testament to how he's performed here on this one. Zero going for another hit, and it's a 37.1, so that's going to be enough to put him ahead of Wildner and Linatus in this quali session, but that may be short-lived as multiple cars are now making their way up to the final section of the track. Hamby started quali first out of everyone in silver. Can he finish that way? It's a 36.6. It's P8, aka P6 overall. Meanwhile, we just had Hellstrom come across the line with a 36.5. We have Linatus with a 36.4. We have Serrano with a 36.1. The times just keep on coming. Another improvement from James Payton as he's just 100th shy of Serrano's P2 time. Things are looking a little bit more tightly packed than I first expected, folks. I'm going to be honest here. A little bit more strenuous on the silver drivers as they haven't really made the massive jump I think all of them were planning. I'm curious to hear about some of the testing times that these drivers would have experienced. Testing and race trim are two different beasts. A little bit of a bump on the grass there for Hiro. He has lost some crucial speed coming out of this one. Still be able to get an improvement though. Will he get into the 36s? Looks like he's just about with the 36.8. Just about there. Hamby also soon to make a move. Needs to get even just a single tenth of a second. That was slingshotting past multiple cars. Can he do it? Like he got something in the pocket after all. It's a P8. Artus with a .470 best. Did not improve on his last run. Here is Felix Wildner. Currently at the bottom edge of the silver order, but has a chance to change that. 36.4 could get him far, and he's got it. It's P7. KAP6. Does still Bowler with his 36.1 reigns tall in P2. More cars make it through as we speak. Natas making his way down the back. Session so far going pretty smoothly for all of our drivers. We haven't had any major upsets, we haven't had major chaos, but what we have had is drivers being able to quickly acclimatize to Indy. It is mechanically is a more technical track on the infield, but laterally is extremely flat. So you haven't got to account for anything extra like camber, elevation. What you see is what you get on that track map, and nothing else to it. Have a big wave of time jumps in just a second. Hamby, Hellstrom, Linatus all making their way through. First off, Hamby. It's going to be a big jump. It's up to P5. Hellstrom is going to get just ahead of him with a 36.202, and Linatus a .307. So big time leap for the rest of them, and it's just in time too, because look at that field that is accumulating in the pit lane. It is none other than Grosges who leads for the golds as they are now setting off for the final time of qualifying rounds here. Last class, it's the fastest class, and you can see they are all itching to get out there. Might see a last minute improvement from one of the remaining silver cars. That is going to be from Simon. Although it looked like his was that his his bumper missing, or am I just going crazy? Is that the design? That must be the design. I haven't seen that before. I'll be honest, I have not seen that before. Either way, you can see all of the gold cars now having their chance in the sun. Track has somewhat cooled down slightly, actually. It's early afternoon. But it's quickly going to start shifting towards the late afternoon and the evening, so temperatures are slightly going down. And this isn't even the hottest that this place gets. That is saying something. making her way through to start a lap. Remember, only one car so far has got into the 35s. Who's going to be the second? Grosges starting his lap. And he's just ahead of a fellow Ferrari driver. Closely tails. That is, I believe, to be a close fought challenge by none other than Mr. Wolfslener, the number 196 car, and cars that is definitely worth looking out for. Has done well in the team mission, as it were. Looks like the team to watch is Pixel Pilots right now. We have P1 and P2 locked out by their drivers, with Liam Blom in the P1 spot, currently standing 132 points, and then 11 points later is going to be Loris O'Wiggle. Crazy thing is that Liam Blom has a 10-point penalty. So even in spite of that, he remains over 10 points ahead of the next closest car, which is his completely clean so far, points-wise, teammate. Pretty exceptional stuff as far as things go early days, but time is of the essence. And for these racers here, as they're about to start their laps, this is going to mean everything. Indy is a track that favours a strong quali, because without it, you are going to be a sitting duck when it comes to that first sector. Those right angles and harsh corners, they are merciless. And any poor position, poor showing is going to cost you. So, Grosges, Wolfslener, Guillemard, they're all coming in hot with quick times. Grosges right out the gate, along with Wolfslener, is going to get a 35. So, very impressive run here from the two of them up ahead. But what are the rest of the field going to do? They come up to the line. Let's see what they have. It's going to be Nick Coolan with a 36.4, 35.6 from Matthias Lang, and multiple quick swings at the midsection of the 36s for the rest of the field. 35.4 coming in from Liam Blom. Massive run here from himself. And Dave Marsh comes up to the line next. What's it going to be for him? It's a 35.6. So this is the kind of time jumps that we were looking forward to seeing. It's that massive, massive early swing. And this isn't even their final state yet. We're seeing the purple trade on the timing board between the likes of Grosges, Wolfslener. They're both making up very quick time. And they're frequently trading back and forth the current top spot. They're fighting hard. And ironically, one would think that with the tailing and with the spacing of their cars, they're not really going to be running optimally. But hey, the slipstream / aero wash between the two is going to be actually somewhat beneficial. Massive time games. Grosges and Wolfslener both to the line. Wolfslener's looking purple. He gets the purple. It's a .137 and a .275 for the two cars respectively. Guillemard's going to even swing in with a .355. Björklund 35.4. It's all coming to a head, and all doing so in the space of tenths of a second. Immaculate driving from Gold so far. Really starting to set those timing boards alight. Here is Lang. Unfortunately not making the massive jump he wanted, but it's still a 35.6. Still solid times coming in from many of the field. Now, we've got Verfart here. He's currently P19 with a 36.2. Verfart is a bit of an anomaly because he has got, so far, the highest points penalty out of anyone in the series. 35 points. And he has got good pace. I think it's just hampered right now by that consistency, by that spacing. Otherwise, he'd be sitting here with 79, which would put him in P8. There's certainly more on the cards, I think, for this Aston driver, but he's just got to keep his nose clean for the time being. That would be the much better priority for him. So, looking around, seeing what the rest of the field can do as We are going to be coming up to penultimate and eventually final runs very shortly. There is Johan Larsson. Lexus number 848 has got a chance to make some major time. If he can get into the low 35s, he will be right within the punching ring of many top class drivers. Comes up 35.8, 35.5 to beat. He gets a 0.542, so it's still within proximity. Not right in the thick of it like he maybe was. Grosges and Marsh, meanwhile, they both making some improvements, and to the point where Marsh might even be on the tipping point, on the cusp of a serious swing at pole position. Unfortunately, 5 milliseconds down. That's all she wrote, and that's all it takes for him to be counted out of this one. Grosges might have some fire though as he comes out the back straight and it through these twisty chicanes as he opens out into sector 3 in just a moment. Tense down, he could be hard. If he can execute this perfectly, we could be looking at 34 after all. 2 minutes and 25 seconds on the clock. No improvement to be seen from Lindblom. 35.3 looks to be the best he's getting, unless he's going to come out of the pits in the next 30 seconds. It could be a close shave here for the 888 car. I think close shaves is something that he very much takes enjoyment out of. Here is Grosges up to the line. 35.2 wants to beat, and he gets a flat 35.0. Massive stuff here, but it looks like we have a last minute challenger. Here is Lindblom making his way out of the pit lane, hammering the gas immediately on the jump, and he has got himself a time to set. Lang coming through final corner. We have got just behind him Loris O'Wiggle as well, looking to get into the 35s after a strong initial run. Hasn't been able to get those same improvements. Lang with a 35.4, Loris with a 35.6. Apologies, I've just broken my mic mount. Yep, looks like there is a loose spring, which caused a bit of collateral damage, but it's fine. It's nothing to write home about. Always get another spring. Wolfslenner making some serious headway. On the cards for a 34. Is he going to succeed where Grosges just slightly fell short? 35.137 he currently stands at, and he needs to beat a 35.02. It's all going to line up with how he gets this final sector. Those final couple of corners are dynamite. Very nice exit out. He's unfortunately going to drop a bit of time. I think he dropped 2 wheels. That could be what costs him here. His time delta has severely shortened down. Grosges gets a 0.017. Wolfslenner gets a 0.202. It's not enough here. So last chances, unless they have banked on the final run specifically, get the job done. Bearfart gets himself into P10 here. 35.6. Björklund is going to be in the pits along with Nick Coolan. So best they're going to get is P2. Comes up to the line here. O'Wiggle gets a 35.650. Best he's going to walk away with is that P11. Dave Marsh into the pit. Lang is going to join Coolan in P7 as well. Last chances. 35.3 to beat for Lindblom. Could have it in him. Bearfart is also pulling out time, trying to get into those single digits. They're curiously headed back into the pits earlier. Best he could muster with a 35.8. Sadly, he's going to be towards the bottom of the pecking order on this one. Crucially, last-ditch efforts as Grosges, Wolfslenner and co. all going to pit in. They're calling it time. No run to be had here, and I think Lindblom, he hasn't been able to pull out the extra speed so desperately needed from this run. Despite best efforts, 35.3 to beat, and a 35.2 it becomes, but not enough to jump position. That is going to be that ember of the race position start fading away. With that, time is coming to a swift close as our session has done so here. A mighty impressive show from the following. Could say pole position overall 35.0 and almost had the chance for a 34.9. Rosges lines up alongside Björklund 35.092 and a half-tenth behind that is Peter third. Ferrari. Looking over to Silver, where things take a bit of an interesting turn, as you have Derek Hall with a 35.812. That's going to be followed not too distantly, a couple of tenths away, by Mr. Serrano in his BMW, and then P3 is going to McLaren pilot of James Payton. Number 248, looking very fast. But they were split by a bit of a interesting face. Bowler dominating on behalf of Bronze in qualifying, and I think shifted my entire perspective of Bronze, as he got himself a 36.1. That is not just the best Bronze time, but that's inching towards the best of Silver times. He's got P2 if he has himself on the Silver board, which is a ridiculous showing and very impressive indeed. A whole half second away is going to be Daniel Groich in P2, also in the Ferrari, followed by Craig Holmes, sole Audi of the field, 36.71. Mighty impressive stuff. Very good run out of fields. Now we are going to, in a minute, take us over to the race trim. And with that, a couple of rules to explain. 60-minute race. And following said 60-minute race, or it's part of it more accurately, it is a one pit stop requirement. There is no mandatory pit window. You can choose as drivers exactly where you choose to park yourself in terms of that pit time. But have to come in for fuel. Tyres are an optional extra. They will cost you time. All about the strategy and how you... So, taking it from the top, our full running order for today. Let's start with pole. It's Grosges in the 134 Ferrari, lining up alongside the Lexus 444 of Nicholas Björklund in P2. P3 is going to be in row 2. That's subject to Peter Wolfslener in the 196 Ferrari, and then is going to be Dave Marsh in his NSX for 27. Row 3 is going to be claimed by Friedrich Geomar, another Lexus pilot. Number 208, closed by David Lindblom, the AAA NSX, has got a point to prove today after his qualifying didn't show what he's expecting and accustomed to. Lang in the 776 Nismo here, going to be alongside Nick Coulin in the number 51 McLaren to close out row 4, and closing out the top 10 is row 5 with Johan Larsson in his 848 Lexus alongside Victor Verfark for the Pixel Pilots with the 707 Vantage. Wiggles going to start on next 10 here with a 317 Nismo, a bit of a different colour scheme to the rest of his teammates. Closely followed by Derek Hall, the number 14 McLaren. Then Colin McNair, matching his colour and his number to his name, number 13. Wayne Bowler, the interloper from Bronze, makes an appearance here in P14, 123 Ferrari, and the 212 BMW belonging to Pedro Serrano. P. Serrano, going to go for their 16th. It's 248 McLaren of James Payton. Hellstrom is going to be the 666 or the 660 Lexus, with number 12 Nissan going to a certain Thomas Linatus, iconic karate livery. Closing out your 20 is going to be Paul Hamby, the number 84 Lamborghini, and the number 25 Porsche. That's going to go to Simon Eade. Last sets of cars now. Robert Homer in the number 6 Moët Chandon McLaren is going to be next to Felix Waldner in his number 87 BMW. Guido Basuri, P23, and in the 992 Porsche, rocking the traditional colours, by Daniel Groich in the 431 Ferrari in P24. Craig Holmes is the number 109 Audi, the sole Audi on the field, with Rich Arscombe, the number 76 Aston Martin, making an appearance in the position. Randy Zimmer, the number 141 Orange Ferrari, look we've become very accustomed to, runs alongside Roger Dismakes in the number 420 Porsche. Alex North is going to be in the 207 Porsche. One of the drivers certainly to watch in race trim, as John Gabbett longs alongside in P30, the number 21 BMW, closely followed by another Beamer. This time it's Stuart Holmes, the number 2. Last 3 cars here on the track today is the 113 of Peter Smith in his McLaren, Ramon Lorenzo in his dark carbon 162 Porsche, and then Craig Niesbet in his dark blue Nismo, the number 331, closes our field out. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. A lot to look forward to, and of course, if there's any particular drivers you've got your eyes on, let us know. You can see by the timer above as drivers are on their formation. 60 minutes. Mandatory pit stop at any time of choosing. All required tyres option. What we tend to see a lot of drivers do is try to make their stints as equal as possible. Go for 30 minutes each. That's the most optimal setting, but you can over or undercut it depending on the spacing of the competition. If you want to get out into some clean air ahead of time and focus on putting good laps down, maybe undercut by a couple of laps. Won't hurt you unless you time it right. As we board on the helicopter, interesting thing is that at this point of the season we are actually at the halfway point, so we're going to start to see some of our championships really crystallize in terms of drivers, competitors, and real world consequences, or whether that's missing rounds or getting low results. They do have drop rounds here, but it's not always going to save you. Those drop rounds are a safety net, but they're not the ultimate catch-all. Drivers are going to find out real quick. But for now, the track's about to go hot for 60 minutes of racing once again. It's a Tuesday night, it's a green flag, and away we go. It's going to be Grosquez leading on from the pack as we have an immediate pressure from so many of the drivers. It's 3, 4, 5 wide. Noah's Ark would be a little bit jealous at this point as they all come careening into turn 1. There's going to be a bit of a muscle move there as Wolfslander practically barges through the front of the field. Grosquez actually cutting across the grass to preserve position, having been forced off the track. There is an immediate chaos being erupting on this track right now. I know we often say that there is always going to be lap 1 shenanigans, but turn 1 shenanigans right out the gate, little bit much, hey folks? As Verfart had a little bit of contact, I believe, as well with the, I think that was the McLaren just up ahead. That was Nick Coulin, and oh wait, saying that, Bowler from a strong start currently sits completely stationary, as there was severe contact between himself and another car. I believe we just caught the tail end of it before we switched cams. That was brutal, and any advantage that he sealed heading into this race from qualifying has now all been annulled. Real shame for him here. As many cars are now sizing up an attack. Here is going to be Liam Blom on the offensive, capitalising on Marsh's misplay here by perfectly squeezing his car in. Aggression is already out and in high force. The field is soon to be converging once again in right corner chicane. Rosquez has actually come out pretty well. I think even if you didn't have the lap 1 incident that we had in the first corner, I think he would have come out quite well. Very rough innings for those towards the sharp edge of the field. And I know I've already said it once, but I do feel for Bowler. I really do feel for him. To have such a firm advantage out of qualifying, completely neutered by the time you get to sector 2. It's heartbreaking, it really is. Few cars now, with the chaos that unfolded during lap 1, they now have some new opportunities to seize. Particularly, Vervaert currently chasing down McNair in P9. McNair didn't get the best qualifying out of tonight, so it's good to see that he's holding his own, he's really sort of fighting his corner. And more than anything, it seems to be that McNair isn't going super aggressive. He's making a bit more of his inside lines here and there, but he's not going out of his way to create an obstinate and difficult defense. In fact, just playing to his strengths and holding the line down, I think is the best thing he could do. There isn't really much else to it. At this point of the race, you want to either go all in on the positions that you can grab while everyone's close, or go for a safer approach. You prioritize not getting involved in dramas, and you seal the position you do have. There's two very different schools of thinking, and sometimes the situation calls for calm. Other times, calls for a rocking of the boat. Whoever's going to advance you forward. For example, Guillemot. Grosges has stayed out in front and held the line, especially now that the dust has settled, but Guillemot is just taking his sweet time. He's not throwing his car into aggressive moves. He's not firing it at apexes and hoping for the best. He's just making a measured. Unfortunately, Smith has seen better days, as we do have a yellow coming through. That's going to be John Gabbett. We just see in the background there. He is completely sideways. And the camera has gone to sleep. There we go. He has returned to the track surface, albeit in last. Marsh getting involved in the fight as Wolf's Lennart Larsen coming very hot, very close together. Marsh is actually going to really hold his own on the inside line there. Smart stuff, sneaky stuff. Little bit of tyre rubbing and contact. No harm done. Victor is going to head himself 2 wheels in the grass and go down to P11. Now, we said at the start of this session, this is about keeping his nose clean just as much as a good result. And right now, Victor's slight off-track excursions, don't know if he's helping himself. Just needs to head down and keep things moving smoothly. At the front here, P5, Lindblom is going to be chasing onto fellow Pixel Pilots driver, Dias Lang. Looks chasing his teammate down. Is he going to commit to the attack at this point? I think that is a question mark that could be applied to a lot of challenges, but one might be materializing here. Loris actually, no, Loris is going to be ducking and dialing back. Curious. Gonna actually yield his position to Vervaert, and I think that was ultimately his undoing there. Okay, that choice to yield might have been what cost him that. Lots of drivers coming in hot on Sector 2, and everyone's keeping very much close together. We do have Dave Marsh, who is somewhat divorced from the top 5, but other than that, everyone's keeping... McNair is leading this train from P9 down. That expands all the way down to P22, so quite an entourage there. Well, Lang has actually dropped down some significant pace to Björklund. They're teetering on that 2-second line. At least. My only real question is when Lindblom is going to pull the trigger, as he is inevitably going to attack on this position fairly soon. Seeking the position, not immediately, he's just keeping the pressure up right now. Keeping things close. Almost soothing in a way, watching these two drivers run in unison. Not really going for anything too aggressive, but just biding time. Lindblom might be committing to it, and he's gone for it now, but he's gone too hard. He's all the way in the grass. As soon as he saw the mighty jerk of the steering wheel, I think that was a fairly harsh indication that had not gone to plan at all. And in fact, now that's brought him right into the clutches of a certain Johan Larsson. So I am feeling prior season flashbacks right now. Lindblom and Larsson fighting together. Thought I'd never see the day again in this way. Larsson is really putting some pressure down on Lindblom, but it looks like he almost got boxed in. Smooth attack, but not quite there. Gonna have to take a bit of a punchier swing. I think he wants to secure the position back. Good here from everyone's sort of keeping close together in multiple packs now. So this is where things get a bit more interesting. I mean, 8's rear bumper still spooks me a little bit. My immediate thought was, heck of a damage model on this game, but it doesn't seem like that's the case. Oh no, what's happened to Daniel? Let's, in fact, wind the clocks back just a wee bit. See exactly what went down. His way through the top chicanes before re-entering the speedway. Looks like, oh yeah, 2 wheels on the grass. Overcommitment. That's it. That's all she wrote, I'm afraid. Dropped himself down to P26 now. Not his best situation, but not completely unrecoverable at the same time. Was going through. He's going to see if Lenatus has got something to give. Can't really push around Lenatus just yet, but he needs to keep the pace up, and this is the dichotomy of his current position. He cannot attack too hard on Linatus. It puts him out of position and allows Hall to challenge, or allows Coolan to challenge on Hall. But plays it too safely, too conservatively, and that is going to invite Coolan all the same to go on the offensive. He's not really doing much to defend. That could be a chance in his pocket. Either leads to overtakes or to accident. Well, Tommy Hellstrom chasing Eve down as we come out into the next lap here. So just completing lap 8, starting on lap 9. Little bit of a chance to counter. Doesn't really have the room. Just given enough space to peak, but not enough to place. That is the defense in a nutshell. But crazily enough, while we've been talking about all of this, Grosges has really started to walk away with it all. He has currently got himself with a whole 2-second lead on Friedrich. Handily holding this one together. And worth mentioning as well, despite some of the early shenanigans that we had, no one has jumped into the pits as a result. So, cannot be that severe if drivers have opted not to head in. Taking a moment to observe Grosges and look back at the drivers chasing him. Got smooth running and a calm flow. Meanwhile, on the back of Hamby, Hellstrom on the back of him. Was in a bit of an interesting spot. Zimmer and Bowler both trades position. Deutsch and Lorenzo doing the same. Looks like Lorenzo is dropping positions left and right. Something going on with that Porsche? Looking a little bit snappy. Not in perfect sort. A couple of cars who are down and... oh no! Hellstrom and Hamby are completely out of it. In fact, Hellstrom has returned to the pits. Hellstrom's got an accident tag on him. We need to see what happened. Let's jump to the heli. And oh, jumping straight across the inside. That's over the curbs and into, like a missile, side of Hamby. Hellstrom has opted to exit out of the session as a result. That incident has directly put him out of the session as he immediately jumped to the pits and then later retired. Here is Waldner. Got some homes up ahead of him right now, and Sedano about a second and a bit behind. Hamby has had to go into the pits as a result of that major collision. And with that, tides have turned for a few key drivers. Interestingly as well, we have got Bowler, who has done quite the resurgence under everyone's noses. Silently picked away at positions and plucked away at those gaps, where he currently stands P2 in the entire order. Bronze is going to be his division, at least tonight it looks that way. This is bowler's night. Just clear to see. Loris on the attack. Oh, you can see so there was going to be cool in there. Scary. Imblom having a bit of a catch up to Marsh after his blunder earlier on sent him into the grass. See just background. Hall goes for another bite of the cherry, peaks, but there is no cherry to bite. He's not got it. Just simply hasn't got the power here. Now we are coming up to about 20 minutes in, and so far looking very strong for the likes of Grosges and Guillemot, who have kept things on the straight and narrow. Liam Blom is still pushing despite a couple of integral mistakes in both quali and the race. P5 is doing fine for him so far. Lenatus and Hall are going to be leading for the silver division. Lenatus has certainly found some feet, found some fire in himself. While just behind him is Craig Holmes. Just behind Ede, who we're with now. And then it's Bowler, who has made his way up into P2, and not too far behind that is Randy Zimmer. Is conveniently P3 tonight and then P3 in standings. I think a lot of drivers could start to benefit from a bit of a point swing that Indy has granted to them. Now looking at the penalty amounts, the leader for penalty amounts per class is currently Victor Verfart with 35 points. 35 points in his Aston Martin. That's what's been demoting him down to P11. Silver is going to be the crown bestowed to Sean O'Neill in his Mustang. That's put him down to 43 points from 68. And lastly, 20 points for John Gabbett, putting him down from 93 to 70. Sure, there's more fighting people yet. Ede is chasing Homer down. Gonna be coming in pretty hot. Things have calmed down now. Wonderful Björklund if he can really make a challenge and size up an attacking Guillemot, or if he even wants to. Chasing down, slowly inching away. I mean, looking at the other end of the spectrum, here is Arscombe, who is on the back of Dismukes, though he himself was trying to chase down onto Peter Smith, and Smith looks like he's got control of this racetrack. Arscombe could be teeing up for a move here. Not close enough. Not there yet. Boscombe will still be on the heels of Dismukes, but not as close as he once was. Now, compare that to North right now, who is sat in P6 for bronze, as Lorenzo is up ahead of it. Amby, sadly, is all the way down to P33, but remember, he has taken his pit stop. So he's already dunked about 100 seconds. In fact, I think it is almost precisely 100 seconds from pit lane end to end. Smoothly does it for drivers now, as the balance has shifted towards a more patient driving style. There's a big ol' coming very close to an attack here. Is he going to commit to it through the finals of this lap? He's going to bump wheels with Verfart here. So Verfart's going to take the hint pretty literally, as Lang, Lindblom and now himself are heading into the pit lane. Going to come through, all going to come through pretty hot. Sharpish on Serrano. He's effectively inherited the lead of this one side of the race. Recalls just Doolin. All those AWS boards, and I almost thought that it was a it was a driver that was stranded, or a car. Deceptive shapes. Still chasing down on Homer at this point. Linatas is going to be heading in alongside Derek Hall and Serrano. So a few more drivers now opting to take themselves into the pits. And this is where the fundamental transition of the race happens. 30-minute mark is when most drivers are looking to head in. Although we do have some, as shown, who take it a little bit early. We have some who take it a little bit late. Then we have Roger Dismukes, who takes it 5 minutes later than anyone else because he just somehow can do that. Have 7 cars who have pitted in out of the 33 that are on track. 8 actually. Soon to be a fair chunk more, as we have Dave Marsh now heading in alongside Marsh jumping in at this point. This juncture of the race is pretty significant. That will pop him out of the race temporarily. I think the most important thing for him right now is just being his own individual run clean of the others. How to find his bearings and really start pushing. Time will unwind itself. He will be back to his prior position. Peyton, Marsh, Wildner all into the pits this lap. All going to be looking at coming out around P20. Yellow flag here as Iro is running very slow down the inside of the track. We can actually take a step back on the clocks and see what happened. Jumping onto the whole helicopter. Very swift moment. See, rounding his way out through the final corner. Just take it a bit too sharply. Hopping across and... oh! Big impact on the inside wall. Now, luckily, it was the inside wall. So, wasn't really much of anywhere for him to go. Nor was he in the immediate path of other cars. Had to take any danger. Still, though, big upset for him. Now is likely going to be limping his car for the next lap. There will be some kind of damage on there. But damage that does not so easily resolve or go away. McNair is going to inherit a few free spots of his own. Gayamar and Wolfsletter are into the pit. Conditioning safety of this paramount. Blom and Lang are going to duke it out, having been reunited this side of the pit stop. And again, that scale of pressure, just something else. Blom is coming in hot. Will Lang defend from the heat? Comes in very close, almost making contact, but a near perfect defense is going to keep Lindblom at bay. Gayamar, Slenner are going to be returning out for the pit lanes very soon. We also see them join the likes of Lorenzo, Gabbett, Niesbet, officially crossing the halfway threshold of drivers having pitted. Rosges and Björklund, race leaders, are going to be now heading into, along with Larson in P3. See everyone else follow the same, as now the leaders have technically pitted in. They control the race sometimes. It's like McNair continues to commit to the run. He stays out a little bit longer. MR has come out and he's going to be multiple seconds clear of Lang. Wonder how Grosges and Björklund are going to fare, as those two were the leading pair. As it currently stands, they could be coming out with even more of a time gap. Leading the charge, Mo Wiggle and Coolin not too far from the fold, as Serrano, I think a lap down, is just going to be following them. Now, question is, where will the rest be coming out here? Here is Grosges, still going to be coming out ahead of other cars. Have it yet to pit, which is something. Is staying out still. But the most important thing here is that he's still going to have about a 5-second clearance on Gayamar. They themselves have a bit more clearance on the others, and Lindblom is a little bit further down. That calls it there for him. The Wiggle and Coolin finally heading into 27-minute mark of the race. Doolan, Hewiggle, Zimmer, they're all coming in, meaning that is just Arscombe, Dismukes, McNair, and Homer have yet to take their stops. Björklund coming down the main straight, he's going to get a healthy bit of a boost. Now that more drivers are going to be coming in and coming out of the pit lane. To see that if we jump on board with Grosges, he's actually going to be going on the overtake, as Arscombe is giving him a bit of berth throughout the second sector here before coming onto that back straight. A bit of a gap there. Blue flags isn't technically being observed because they're on the same lap. Same lap? Same lap. What is my pronunciation today? Wide berth being given. I think that is a bit of self-preservation on Arscombe's part. Despite not being separated by a lap, Arscombe knows just about as well what the consequences are for having a poor fight against a car you don't need to fight with. McNair and Homer finally heading to the pits. Will Arscombe be doing such actions? Yes, he will, leaving just Desi. Dismukes is running very wide on that penultimate corner. I think that might be the signal that he needs, and indeed so. 25 minutes on the clock, hemorrhaging grip. That is going to be the last car pitting in that was required to do so on this race course. With that, Grosges officially reassumes the lead. 4-second gap to Guillemot, so actually the gap going slightly down. Björklund. Lindblom could still be chasing down for P4 as he has 5 now on March. Close between the two, but Lang is going to be caught on the defenseless side. There is Lindblom with a beautiful execution of the overtake, just heading into the back straight. Held the apex, held the inside, and that is rope, folks. Nicely done. Arscombe, Dismukes, they're going to be coming out the back end of the pit lane, as they're still taking a little bit more of a conservative run here. Nartus is chasing down on Derek Hall, but might be in a spot of bother considering that there is a massive queue of cars behind him. Although Hall has made a crucial mistake, he went way too deep on the back straight. That has opened the door for Linatus to take the spot on a silver platter. Lang has tried to chase onto Lindblom and take the position back, but he's already dropped to almost a second away, leaving him in a bit of a problem, bit of a pickle. He's high and dry right now. Fortunately, Bowler is up in his second hit of bad luck there. He's overcooked it and gone through the apex of the curb, losing time. Back down in P4. Somewhat of a saddening development there, has to be said. Could be chasing down on McNair soon, and we'll check on with them in a little bit, but taking a bit of a attestation on the entire field. So Grosges remains leader in P1 for gold, alongside Gaimar in P2, about 4 seconds away, and then about 5 seconds from that is going to be Niklas Björklund in P2. Looking at silver, P1's going to go to Linatus right now, who is a less than second away from Derek Hall, so wouldn't count his lucky stars just yet. And then James Payton just over a second away, P3 in his McLaren. Lastly, for the bronze cars, it's going to be a certain Holmes. It's going to be Craig Holmes. Despite everything, has held onto P1. Done so with a level of smoothness, calm, seldom be matched. Second place you're going to have Randy Zimmer, and then third place you're going to have Daniel Groch. About 20 minutes on the clock left to go. This field runners going to be making overtakes. Now would be your time to really push it. Time is kind of now. What's what magic you can do. It's stuff here for drivers to make up significant chunks of time. Just thinking back to that. How we had multiple cars spinning round and yet no major casualty. That was seriously involved. Some drivers counting their lucky stars have caught a bit of a break here. Every driver is blessed with that same luck on a day-to-day. And oh, Larson with a great execute on Wolfsletter. Textbook overshot. Then a quick to pick up the crumbs. Lexus sweeps into P7. Facing down on Peyton soon, so let's check in on that. So things have been quieter here this race. Perfectly honest, drivers have really sort of found a smooth rhythm with tonight's race. Not going to be fully chaotic like we've seen in rounds past. But what we have seen is drivers find a smooth rhythm and confirm what we knew all along. Is that these drivers, regardless of what class you're in, regardless of where you are, they know how to put on a really good show. Hecking good race. Because it's even in these calmer moments where you don't see drivers fighting wheel to wheel that you always got to appreciate just as much as the combat segments. That's when drivers are often making artists taking their time. They're considering their strategic. They're looking at the wider field around them. Judgment. Whether you're pushing hard to make up time or keeping steady pace to reliably put in a stint for your team. No matter what the situation is, making judgments constantly. Exception. Going to be continuing to push and hopefully get an attack on Grich soon. Has been hanging back and chasing him for a little bit. Stuart Holmes had a little local yellow come up, but able to there. Going to be on the defensive. Bowler getting quite close, but also Grich is going to overshoot himself into the grass. And that is as much of an opportunity as he needed. Bowler is up into P3 for bronze. Derek Hall, meanwhile, chasing for the lead of silver, as Linatus remains firm on his defensive. I think the timing board just had a bit of a moment there. Said that Bowler and Zimmer had fully traded. Maybe not the case. Tool betrays on this occasion. Everyone's still giving it their best. Here is Coolan. Griffart just up ahead of him. And any chance he can take to tango with the Aston. A little bit wide on the final corner there, but will that give him the speed that he needs? Fine with the slipstream, there might be a chance to close a tiny bit of the gap, but I don't know if it's quite there. It's going to be very close. Tiny chance. Very close to contact there. That was a little bit dicey. I had my heart in my mouth for a second. Big opportunity here. What chances take against this Aston driver right now? Goes a little bit harsher into that penultimate corner. Swinging left and right, looking at any chance he can get closer. Very close. Coming in line on the Aston almost perfectly to a T. He peaks to the right. Doesn't quite have the chance to attack. I think he's just keeping his car cool at this point. Pulling his car down. He just as soon as he regains that composure, he is straight back on the offensive. Coolan is on an absolute warpath right now. Look how close he's getting. He's inching towards the apex and even almost out squeezing himself into a spin. He is committed to this overtake, ruthlessly so. Trying to chase AMR, but it's not quite there. 2 seconds adrift. Marsh might be with a better chance to catch up to Lang. Lang has been left over 3 seconds away by Lindblom since last checked in on him. The two were pretty much in duel for the entire duration. Coming up to that start-finish straight, cool, and once again on the back of Verfart. Gonna be close, but again, it's gonna be no dice for the McLaren driver. Into top. Crazy in all of this is there is the current best lap here from Grosges, a 35.555. My lordy, what a showing. Grosges really does have some of the makings of a championship contender. That much is being shown. While he stands P4 in the championship, got pace to put on with the best of them, and currently is ahead of Gayamar in P3, Lindblom in P1, and Loris in P2. And Loris, in fact, this is a race to forget for him. Currently stands in P10. And that is going to be a serious hit to his points haul. They've had a lot of formidable challenges across the field tonight. We have had Ulan, for example, who's been consistently chasing the Aston Martin down. We've had Lang, who is now on the back of Lindblom once more. And the fighters reunited. The Aston of Werfart was defending a little bit further away, but big dive, way too much punch for Lang there. He really gave it a bit of a swing and a miss on that. Far too deep into that last corner. Sadly, is going to ultimately undo him here. I think he's killed his chances for an attack in the top 5. Hayton coming up to the back of Hall. Now, Hall has been on the cusp of a P1 for a good while now, but Lunatus has just been there. He's been a stern defender. Stoic defender, I think, more accurately. And now Peyton could be looking to get involved, as Hall hasn't come up with the goods, hasn't come up with the overtake yet. Running out of room, he's running out of patience. To be back of Zimmer. This is for P2 in the bronze, remember. Good hefty challenge coming through. Bowler has got in. He has got some serious speed. Bowler has got some serious speed. He has got the means to use it, but I think tonight is just one of those nights where and unfortunately hasn't panned out for him. Not much that can really be done to undo that, other than just keep his head up and hoping for the best. Make the best out of the situation you have, and that's all that any one driver could ever do. A fierce fighter like Larson, who we're a bit on board with for a hot moment here. On the back of Lang, of course, Lang making that crucial mistake earlier, and now there's going to be a last chance to capitalize before that timer runs down to 0. Same breath, we have Coolin still on the back of Victor. Not a easy fight to have. One that he continues to hold. Now we are about 5 minutes out, which that we are approximately 4 laps away from the finish, around lap 38. And my current prediction. And being a little bit later in the evening, the track has cooled down. Ambience have gone down a couple of degrees as well, but nothing compared to the track surface. That's going to be the one that has the most effect, the pronounced effect. Linatus has dropped down a couple of key positions here. As there is Derek Hall up ahead, and now James Payton looking for a bite of the cherry. Linatus has to go on the defensive, doesn't have anywhere else to go. And a tiny bit deep there on the exit of turn 1. Turn away for a second, and it looks like we have seen the transition between the two races. Verfart and Coolin. This is a replay, mind you, folks. This is a replay. Verfart and Coolin have finally swapped places. Take a look exactly what happened. Verfart just taking a bit too much on the outside there. Allowed the McLaren to get long, and then the apex was claim to the number 51. That can sometimes be as simple as it gets. It doesn't need to be an elaborate and complicated move. Sometimes it's just a simple, you went too wide, I am capitalizing on that, job done. Soon to be a big chance here for the racers, as they will not long now be completing their entire race campaign here for. And as we get to the halfway point of the championship, one begs the question of if there will be any fireworks heading into the second half. There will be, of course, drivers who wish to improve on their results. Unfortunately, we see Dismukes and Smith both in the grass here. It looks like they had a bit of a coming together. Let's wind back the clocks. But we've seen a bit of a surprise in the form of Grosges thoroughly outperforming everyone. I wonder if we'll see more, and if those will be consequential to the championship. And, oh, no, looks like there is a pretty clear issue there. Dismukes stopping on the track temporarily before tucking off to the runoff, as one should if he is going to be stationary anywhere near a track. It has to be on the runoff at least. Given that he didn't spin round as well, that looks like that was a attempt to rectify the situation with Smith, but Smith took a bit longer to find his footing, so he had to get off. 2 minutes and 26 seconds. Penultimate lap for our racers. Any moment now. In the next minute, we are going to get the call from race control to see that final lap. Artus is still going to have a last-ditch effort to take their position back from Derek Hall. Time is of the essence here for them, so it's not going to be any options left other than to just push, go, and it looks like he has taken that one to heart. He tucks to the inside. Will there be a commitment to a move? I don't know. So coming up to the lead of the race as they round out the final corner. They are about to start the final lap.
Alright man, the leader is on the final lap. Give me the final push.
Final lap, final push, final chance for those willing to make any overtakes. You can see Lang is taking that threat very seriously. He darts all the way to the inside-most line. A real commitment to the defense, therefore. Mr. Lang and Larson responded in kind. Looks like McNair is going to do exactly the same thing as O'Wiggle is trying to size his way around the other Nismo that currently holds him back from P9. Couple of fights all of a sudden coming to fruition and coming to a bit of a head. Truth. As the racers are going to be coming to the end of their campaigns tonight. The checkered flag has officially been primed. We are out of time here. So with that all being said, one driver has stood tall above the rest. Undeterred, unbothered, in his lane, driving. As he rounds the final corner, Mr. Grosges take a bow as the winner of the Indy round, SIMSeniors Season 12. Gold class crown is yours this week, with Guillemard coming in at a strong second and Björklund crossing the line in third position. That is the checkered flag pulled, so now anyone who crosses the line after this point is going to be given all of the customs and be immediately going to take advantage, jump straight into the pits at the last moment. McNair, unfortunately, is going to be conceding his position here. Concedes down to P10. O'Wiggle gets it in the final moments. Coming through now as well. Closely chased by his buddies. Paul, Linatus, Peyton. Looks like Linatus has gone into the pits. Yeah, looks like he... Oh, it looks like he overshot. Oh no, now that is painful. That is going to hurt. Comes into the pits and overshoots. To top it all off, he quits out of the session nearly immediately. A shame, really, a real shame. Well, there you go. Checkered flag has fallen. Taking top honors for silver is going to be Derek Hall. He's going to seem very happy about it. Peyton is going to get second, and then in a twist of events, Simon Aid is going to get third. Looking over to the bronze finally, we have Craig Holmes, Randy Zimmer coming across the line in second just now, and then Wayne Bowler with an immaculate recovery. It's to P. Fortunately, we did say goodbye to a couple of drivers here today. I mean, Linatus, for example, is going to get demoted down by the virtue of resetting. He's down a lap, putting down P23 by the end of it all. Then we did say goodbye to Hellstrom following his severe collision with Hamby. Now, that is where we do it for tonight, folks. Now, next time round, it's going to be, of course, crossing that barrier. We're into the second half. We're into March. Where better to start it than Illick Circuit? Boulder is a track that is a bit Marmite. Safe to say, you either love it or you hate it. Now, I, for one, think that it produces a lot of fun and a lot of drama. Other drivers don't necessarily find it all that favourable, but one thing is very clear and for sure. No matter which way you slice it, we're going to have some racers at the top of their game, as the field is soon to be discovering a raucous roller coaster. All it can be. But that's where we're going to end it for now. Tonight, folks, my name's been Ben Sapsford. Once again, it's been an absolute pleasure to broadcast for you all this evening. Next week, we will be joining you for Zolder, so make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already, and like the stream if you enjoyed what we did. I'm going to be signing off. Take care. Have a great rest of your day or night, wherever you are in the world, and goodbye.